If you're thinking of buying or selling in Seattle, I don't want you to do anything until you've watched this. And the reason is because the market has changed a lot. It's changed in a way that could cost you thousands of dollars if you actually don't have the right plan. So homes that were getting 5 to 10 offers in the last few years are now just getting maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe none. And what we're seeing is fewer and fewer homes have sold above list price. It's happening, but it's not like the way it was happening back in 2020 and 2021. So there are still some neighborhoods that are super red hot. There's other ones that they're just not moving. And knowing the difference could save you lots of money on the next deal you do. Okay, let's get into this. So in the last few years, the Seattle housing market has definitely cooled down, and the numbers do not lie. Firstly, homes are now sitting on the market for about 18 days on average. Last year, it was just 12 days. Last month, 11 days. And it's really changing the dynamic between buyers and sellers. And the shift is creating really interesting opportunities for buyers. And I want to explore that a little bit later with you when we discuss negotiation strategies in this video. So second, only 23% of Seattle homes are selling above list price. And that's down nearly 30% from just last month. That is a huge drop in the home buying competition, and most people don't know about it. So what you've got happening is a sell to list ratio of about 99.6%, which basically just means homes are selling at right around list price. And what's even crazier is Redfin data is showing that hot homes are getting only about 1 to 2% over list price. The days of every single house getting multiple offers for now are over. This could be changing. Things are happening with the Fed in September, but for now, this is what we've been seeing. So as for pricing, it's been kind of a mixed bag. Seattle's average home price is $880,000, which is pretty much the same from 2024. I gotta say, as being a broker, this has been a really nice market. It's been a balanced market. Buyers get a little bit of more leverage than they were seeing before. It's a whole new dynamic than what we had seen in years previous. Now, how quickly this market changed is just reshaping how all of the brokers and all of the buyers and sellers have to negotiate. So according to Redfin, Seattle homes now get about 3 offers on average. Remember when every decent house had basically somebody showing up with a bag of cash? Does it have a roof? Yes. Okay, I'll take it. There's a lot more options if you've been struggling to find a good home. This just means you have time to think, you have time to negotiate, you can leave contingencies in place, and you can look around and try to find the right neighborhood that suits your needs. And here's what's great. We get inspections again. We didn't have inspections for years. You couldn't win. People would say to me, Sean, I want an inspection. I'm like, there's no home for you to inspect. If you don't do this, this is the kind of position you're going to find yourself in. So now you can actually get out there, run an inspection. A lot of sellers are smart. They run seller procured inspections. And that's happening because we've been back in a buyer's market. And this leads to one of the most interesting points. Why is it taking so much longer for homes to sell? But before we dive into that, if we haven't met, I'm Sean McConnell. Me and my team, we're helping people buy and sell homes all over Seattle, all over the suburbs. I'm out touring these neighborhoods every single day, and that's why I create these weekly videos. I want to share real estate market insights, and I want to tell you things that you might not hear anywhere else. So if you want to stay ahead of the shifts in the market, hit the subscribe button. Now I want to show you very drastic differences between Seattle's different neighborhoods. So homes that used to sell in days are now sitting for weeks, sometimes months. And this gap between hot and cold neighborhoods, hot locations, bad locations, it's huge. And as I had mentioned earlier, Seattle's overall days on market is 18 days. That completely changes the power balance. Sellers really want you to bring them an offer. They're okay with the contingencies. So downtown Seattle is taking a big hit. Homes are sitting for 46 days on average. That is up 31 days from last year. The price is up almost 9% to $653, but the price per square foot is down 9%. That basically tells me that people are buying just a completely different type of unit downtown. It doesn't mean that the market is necessarily stronger there. Okay, so Seattle's central business district is actually doing even worse. 100+ days on market. Sales prices trending down 7.5% from last year. So if you're shopping for a condo in the central district, you can pretty much almost name your price right now. Okay, here's what's actually pretty interesting. Northwest Seattle is still moving really quickly. So Ballard is hot. Ballard is moving in about 9 days, barely slower than last year. Last year it was about a week, 7 days. And Ballard proper is just at about 11 days. You've also got Maple Leaf, which is selling in about 12 days, so 12 days on market. It seems like these really safe, family-friendly neighborhoods are what makes the home sell quicker. Those neighborhoods are still hot. Meanwhile, we have this location, Bitter Lake, if you're familiar with it. That one slowed down to about 21 days on market, so 3 weeks. Capitol Hill and the Central District, they're taking about 17 to 20 days. And here's what it is. Buyers are picky now. Buyers can afford to be picky. If they don't like the home, if they don't like the location, that's it. So you better have your pricing in check. Do you remember when you used to go into a home? You might not, but I do. You'd go walk into a home and you'd have to call the agent, say, do you have any offers on this property? It's the first time you walked in it, you just got into the living room, you're already worried that there's 3, 4, 5 other people. There's somebody knocking on the door, trying to come into the showing behind you. And this really has been a big shock for a lot of people, this massive shift in power from the seller to the buyer. So I want to tell you a little bit about what it means to have leverage as a buyer. What's really interesting is that Seattle itself actually leads the nation in seller concessions at almost 71% of the homes getting a seller concession. That's almost twice as much as it was just even a year ago. And that is the highest among 24 different major metros. So the national average is just 44% of homes getting seller concessions. So Seattle sellers are way more willing to make a deal. They want to sell these properties. So what kind of concessions have we seen? We've seen money towards repairs. We've seen money towards closing costs. We've seen money towards mortgage rate buy downs, towards HOA fees, towards appliances, towards blinds. It doesn't matter. They want to get it sold. They're willing to cut you a deal. A year ago, sellers were calling me and telling me, I'm not going to budge off price. I'm not doing anything. They want it. They can take it as is. And condos in this market have become an even tougher sell because of skyrocketing HOA fees. They're kind of homogenous. So if somebody sells low, you're sort of on the hook for that. And there's also just more expenses with insurance. And what's great is if you're a buyer, you're going to walk into a property, sellers are accepting inspections, appraisal contingencies, finance contingencies. That's pretty much a complete 180 from what we saw in years past. So like 2 years ago, buyers were just skipping over inspections completely. They were offering minimum. It was like $100,000 over ask. I would get calls from buyers. They'd say, would they take $100,000 over ask? I'd be like, probably not. 200, 300. We wrote $400,000 over. That just shows you how much the power has actually shifted and how much leverage buyers have at this minute. Okay, so this is the real kicker. The higher interest rates are what's really reshaping the landscape here in Seattle. Who can buy, who can sell, what the deals look like. A lot of sellers are just locked in with cheap interest rates. We're still seeing tight inventory. Mortgage rates right now are sitting at around 6.5% on a 30-year fixed. And that's down a little bit from highs in the mid 7s, but it's still well above what we were seeing in the 3 or 4% range. So sellers, if they've got a mortgage under 4%, they might not be moving. So you're seeing a lot of sellers that are just riding it out. They're just waiting and saying, I think I'm just going to stay put and watch and see what happens. So this rate lock effect is really what's keeping a lot of these homes off the market, which is partly what's balancing out the marketplace here. And we're still seeing homes selling because of this constraint in inventory. So what's working? What do people do? Well, people are talking to their lenders and they're looking at doing rate buy downs. So you can use the concessions from the seller to buy down the interest rate to make your pricing more affordable. Maybe for the first couple of years you can get in and the impact isn't so tough. And a lot of smart sellers have pretty much figured out that helping with those interest rates is going to help move the home fast. So when they ask for a concession, they're happy to do it. So it's not that the market is broken. The market is just getting back to a balanced market. It's what we've seen in the past. Now, this can all change. We see lower interest rates. Maybe this inventory is going to open back up. Who knows what that's going to do to prices? But even with all these different market changes, there are just some neighborhoods that are super red hot, and there's others that are just cooling off. So let me just walk you quickly through some of Seattle's neighborhoods, neighborhood by neighborhood, and give you a breakdown on what I think is hot and what I think is cooling off. Okay, so as I've mentioned earlier, downtown Seattle, I'd say it cooled off quite a bit. 46 days on market on average. That's up almost a month from last year. The median home price up to about $650,000, $60,000. And that's because people are buying just more entry-level condos there. Okay, and remember I was talking about the Seattle Central Business District? It's not doing well. I'd say that's a cold market, 134 days on market. Now, if you're really speculative, if you're looking years out, maybe this is the kind of place that you might want to invest in. I think back to New York, like in the 80s, when it was, kind of rough. People were making investments like that. And then, New York came around and had a renaissance and those properties skyrocketed. So maybe the cool markets are places you as an investor may want to look into. But as it stands, the median home price has dropped 7.5% down to $730K there. Okay, so here's what's selling. These are the hot neighborhoods. These are the neighborhoods that are outside of the core downtown Seattle market. And this is your Ballard, your Fremont, your Wallingford, your Laurelhurst, your View Ridge. These areas are doing a lot better. So because of that, Seattle's median price is actually up to $945,000, which is up 8.5% from last year. So Ballard stats actually back this up too. The median home price is $962,000, up 9.9% from last year. And Maple Leaf, which I mentioned earlier, is absolutely crushing it. The data shows that the median price is $907,000, which is up almost 15% from last year. I love this neighborhood. This one's in a lot of my other videos. I talk about it. West Seattle is holding strong. Home prices, $840,000. Homes there are selling in about just a week and they're getting multiple offers still. But other neighborhoods that are struggling, cold, Capitol Hill, median home price, $730K. It's down 2% from last year. Homes are sitting just about 3 weeks. That is just tough for sellers. Now, when you go across the water and you go into the east side, Bellevue's median price is $1.5 million, and that's up almost 2% from last year. But the homes there are still taking about 3 weeks to sell. So this confirms what we've been saying all along. The split between neighborhoods, the split between performance. Some areas are down 7%, other ones are up 15%. It's not just one Seattle market, there's sub-markets all around Seattle. There's little pockets. And if you really look, it's block by block, it's home by home. So if you're a seller, put the money into the upgrades, put the money into the improvements, make sure you've got a good location and make sure your pricing strategy is smart. So what does this mean for you? What are your strategies? If you're a buyer or you're a seller, this changing market creates both opportunities and risks for both buyers and sellers. So here's how you win, whether you're buying or selling. So first, as a buyer, use that extra time. Go look at multiple properties. Find a great location. Maybe you find something that's even outside of your price range and see if they're willing to accept an offer lower. That's a nice opportunity. We were not able to do that 3-4 years ago. Or you could go and you could focus on value spots. You could get into Bitter Lake. You could get into the Central District, Capitol Hill. Go get good deals and plan for the future. So this is where understanding a hot neighborhood versus a cold neighborhood can save you some serious money. Downtown, homes are sitting longer. They're selling below list. You've got room to negotiate for repairs, for credits, for rate buy downs. Pretty much whatever you want. And look, of course, it's on a case-by-case basis. Not every seller is going to do that. Not every unit is like that. But generally speaking, you have more power. But pay attention, right? If you like it, I bet a lot of other people like it. So hot homes in good neighborhoods, Maple Leaf, Ballard, they can move in under a week. So you should still be ready to move fast if you find a property. So get your ducks in a row. Talk to your lender, talk to your broker, have a strategy. Make sure you've really honed in on what you're looking for. And so for sellers, it's a different opportunity. You better price for reality. Set prices based on what's selling now. Go look at homes that are comparable to yours that are currently on market and think about that pricing strategy. And how your home looks, how it's prepared, matters more than ever. I always tell my sellers, if you're going out on a date, wear the tuxedo, comb the hair, brush the teeth. That's your listing. You got to do all the things to make sure that it looks good. That means good photos, good staging, make sure the place is in tip-top shape, talk to an inspector and go through and make sure your systems are in good order. You don't want to get caught on an inspection having to give big buyer credits for systems that you could have fixed very easily. So the market isn't crashing. I actually like this market a lot. It's a very neutral market. It adds a lot of value. If you need to make lateral moves as a seller to a buyer, it's just a rebalancing of the marketplace, and it can save you tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. So let me just wrap it up with the bottom line. The market is headed for another move, and I'm going to make another video about that. So there you have it. Seattle's market has split into two directions. You've got great family neighborhoods. The pricing is still there. The competition is still there for the right neighborhoods. And then you have other spots that are cooling off, but maybe that's a long-term value play. Maybe that's your investment play. So look at this split market. It's the biggest opportunity we've seen in years. Look, I went out and bought a property last year. I knew it was a good opportunity. With fewer homes selling above list price and homes taking more days to sell on average, we are moved into a balanced market where you gotta have good strategy. You do still have to be fast, but buyers should target specific neighborhoods, look at locations, and really look at days on market. That's gonna give you a huge indicator as to whether the seller is in a rough position. And sellers, you gotta come back down to earth. You have to price in today's reality. And you have to make sure that your home stands out from the crowd and your ducks are in a row and everything looks good and your systems are in place. Work with what you have. You know, Seattle's market is changing and these market conditions can change very fast. The Fed does something to the rates, there's a news headline. That's all it takes for a switch in the market. So don't get too comfortable either. And we know these areas. We know them like the back of our hand. We've done thousands of deals. We've sold over $1.5 billion of real estate. And my team and I, we can help you. All you have to do is shoot me a message at sean.mc@compass.com and we can get you started. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to learn more about Seattle, you want to learn more about the suburbs, or how to outperform the market, I want you to click here, and I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you in Seattle.